I want to congratulate all of you guys on being ASCG award winners for this year. And I'm really glad that you were able to make it to today's session. So this is just an overview on how to prepare for the NOBCChE conference, which is happening this September in Atlanta, Georgia. So before we get started, I just wanted to introduce you guys to the ASCG committee. Quite a few of you have emailed, and so we've been doing our best to get back to all of you guys and answer questions as they come. But my name is Najli Chung. I'm one of the co-chairs for this year, and I'm happy to share the committee with Shalita Augustus, Jafaru, Ernest, and Mao, who are all committee members who have helped to think about how we're going to form kind of the requirements and the acceptances for this year. Just so everybody understands what we're going to go over today, we're going to start out so that everybody understands the code of conduct, which will be presented by Brandy, our Northeast student representative. And then we're going to go over some things about the conference. So generally, what is the conference? Maybe some highlighted programming. If you guys have never traveled to a conference before, we are going to touch a little bit on how to prepare and travel for your conference as well. And then we're going to get into the ASCG requirements and some announcements from technical sessions. And at the end of everything, we're going to go ahead and let you guys ask questions. Just to keep everything as less chaotic as possible, I'm going to ask you guys any questions you have to put in the chat. The NOBCChE account can answer some of your questions. And then for those that maybe need some reiteration, I will happily answer those out loud at the end. This session is being recorded and it's going to be posted on the NOBCChE website so that if you have any questions afterwards, you can come back to this video, kind of reference it. And then if those questions still aren't answered, then you guys can try and email us to get some more clarification. So with that, I'm going to hand everything over to Brandy to talk about the NOBCChE Code of Conduct.
Okay, I didn't have permission to unmute. Hey everyone, my name is Brandy Williams, and I am going to go over some of the NOBCChE Code of Conduct, as there have been some changes over the last couple of years with an upgrade. So next slide, please. So if you have not, I do urge you all to go read the Code of Conduct. I believe we all had to read it as part of our conference grant acceptance. So if you want to access that, it's nobcce.org/code-of-conduct. And so overall, of course, NOBCChE, we value the diversity of our membership. And of course, we all strive to provide an inclusive environment, regardless of race, gender expression, sexual orientation, religion, national origin, or political belief. So I wanted to just highlight some expected behavior. Of course, this does not include every type of behavior that you should all be emitting over the conference, but I just wanted to highlight some things here and there. So of course, we all want to exercise consideration and respect with our speech and our actions. Before any potential conflict, try to attempt to collaborate, and of course, refrain from any demeaning, discriminatory, or harassing behavior and speech. Please be mindful of your surroundings and the fellow participants. Of course, if you notice a dangerous situation, any person in distress, or any direct violations of the Code of Conduct, please alert NOBCChE leadership, even if it seems if it seems innocent. So a few things that are unacceptable and are a direct violation of the Code of Conduct, any harassment or discrimination. So this would include any verbal, physical, or visual conduct, misconduct based on sex, sexual orientation, gender expression, identity, transgender status, race, age, national origin, or disability. Again, this is including but not limited to. And of course, any inappropriate display, sharing or the use of nudity or sexual images in public, any physical or verbal intimidation. So this could include stalking of the attendees, harassing and recording of the attendees without, consent. And of course, inappropriate physical contact, whether you think it's innocent or not, any unwelcomed physical attention or verbal attention is really unacceptable. Any offensive behavior, language, threatening, intimidation, use of explicit, offensive language, profanity, obscene gestures, things of that nature. So again, these are just some examples, but we wanted to highlight some things that are just not acceptable and will not be tolerated at the conference. And so just some final reminders, of course, NOBCChE does aim to foster an inclusive and supportive atmosphere. So just make sure that we're all trying to be as inclusive and supportive as possible. NOBCChE is built on a foundation of respect, fairness, openness, and transparency. And last but not least, respect all others' physical, emotional boundaries, respect their identities, backgrounds, pronouns, and names. So those are just some things I wanted to highlight in the code of conduct. But again, please read through the code of conduct, know it pretty well, and then make sure that we are abiding by that code of conduct during the conference and throughout any involvement with NOBCChE.
Thank you so much, Brandy. And really to reiterate what Brandy said, if any of you guys have any questions, please do refer to NOBCChe's code of conduct page. That's going to really help you guys out and answer a lot of questions, I think. So moving forward, let's start kind of big picture. All of us are ASCG winners. We're all really involved in NOBCChE, but then there's the other question of like, what else do we have in common, right? You have students, you have research fellows, you have professional scientists. They might span industry, academia, you might have chemists. We are an organization that was originally made for Black chemists and chemical engineers, but honestly, as time has grown, we've really opened up our membership to include other types of engineers. That could be biomedical engineers, those could be maybe cancer biologists. Like all of us are scientists at our core, and we're here to really support each other in our professional advancement opportunities. So NOBCChe's mission, I think, kind of to really echo again some of what Brandy was saying, is to build this eminent cadre of successful, diverse global leaders in STEM, really. And that's advancing their professional endeavors. We're adding to academic development, professional development, leadership, and other types of philanthropic endeavors throughout the life cycles of their careers. And so some of those core values that we hold are things like the want to be continually improving. You have integrity in everything that you're doing. You're inclusive and you engage with others who maybe don't look like you or have similar backgrounds as you. And then throughout kind of that whole thing, keeping up with innovative thinking, leadership, and staying transparent with everything that you're trying to do as well. And if you're curious more about that, that can be highlighted on NOBCChe's strategic plan. The link is down below. This year's conference theme is Still I Thrive, and I think it's especially important in the current landscapes that we think about what the conference theme means and how we can take it not just through the conference, but through the rest of our professional careers, right? So what we're really aiming for is building a foundation for success for you guys at the conference. We want to provide some sort of enrichment for all of you, and that might be through different types of social interactions. They're both students and professionals, and so you have the opportunity to really interact with your peers and people who maybe you're striving to be similar to. We're also hoping and striving very much for this being an environment for innovation. So thinking about all of the different types of research that you guys are going to be bringing out, how do you engage with that, even if it's not necessarily your specific area of expertise or something that you've studied? This might be the first time you're hearing about it, but maybe that's something you can take ideas from or take inspiration from and fold it into your own professional advancement as well. And then the last couple really think about our historic background. NOBCChE has been around for 53 years, And throughout the week, there are going to be highlights of individuals who have contributed to NOBCChE at different points in their careers. And so we'll talk about those a little bit more with some of the programming. Just as an overview, there are 3 major branches that we want you guys to think about. There are going to be student programs. So those are thinking more about what types of programming or support or advice might students need as they're thinking about going through undergraduate into graduate school into a postdoc, graduate school into industry, or really at any transitional career point that you may be at as a student. We also have professional development, which is open to students as well, but this is focused a little bit more on advancing your career, building different leadership skills, thinking about maybe as you progress through your career, how do you begin to interact with individuals such as like in the C-suites and different companies if you want to go into industry, or even as an academic, how do you start to interact with the industrial interface? And then technical sessions is something that all of you guys will be actively participating in. So these will be thinking about your oral presentations, your poster presentations. How do you interact with them? How do you take something from it? If you guys would like to learn more about the programming overviews, the agenda at a glance can be taken from this QR code here. So I'll give you guys a second if you really want to scan into it. And so there's some specific student programming opportunities that the committee wanted us to highlight for you guys. So there's the opportunity for your resumes to be reviewed by professionals in industry, whether you're looking for a job, an internship, or you really just want some feedback on what your resume is. Student programming has worked with different sponsors to provide people to give you guys that kind of feedback. There's also the 3-minute rundown flagship event, where you take your research or you take a scientific topic of interest, and you essentially talk about it for 3 minutes. And what you want to try and convey is a story of some sort. Why should other people be interested in this? There are prizes associated with this, and there are divisions for both undergraduate and graduate students in the past. The last program that they wanted us to highlight for you guys is this innovation tank. And it's essentially a pitch competition. So what you're doing is it's a little bit of a longer format, and you're taking your research and pitching it to experts, especially those who may have some entrepreneurial expertise in the background. If you're thinking that you would want your research to spin off into something different, and maybe you're not quite sure how to approach that. So this QR code will give you both sign-up links and more information about each of these sessions, sorry. And so what we're highlighting here, the 3-minute rundown was sponsored last year by AbbVie. And so you do get an opportunity at this point to interface with some people in industry who you might not even know exist or be able to have access to otherwise. And then the bottom panel is at our innovation tank last year. And the person presenting was actually our overall winner. And so these are really highly attended sessions that give you a little bit more face time beyond just what your poster or your oral presentation session might give you otherwise. And then another event that's happening is a partnership with ACS, where it helps you learn how to create effective resumes, CVs, and LinkedIn profiles. And I think especially thinking about how to build a strong LinkedIn profile is important in today's day and age where everything is based kind of in social media profiles. This is something that we actually are really highly recommending for all ASCG recipients. It is a pre-conference webinar, so it's taking place in a couple of weeks on August 5th, and it's a 2-hour session. And please be mindful that this is an Eastern time zone, so if you're somewhere else, try to think about what that timing means for you. Here is understanding the difference between a resume and a CV. When would you use each one? When might one be preferred over another? And then thinking kind of about your online branding through LinkedIn. So if you have any questions about more specific details, you can email studentprograms@nobcche.org, and that's about this event or any of their flagship events on the previous slide. And then the QR code here takes you directly to the sign up for this ACS event. So again, I'll give you guys a couple seconds if you want to screenshot it or try and use the link now. So I want to transition a little bit and think about, generally speaking, what is it like at a NOBCChE conference if it's your first time here? We really want it to be an environment where you're able to engage with other scientists as yourself in the most professional manner. And so an easy way that you can think about this is using this MINGLE acronym, where we really want you to kind of branch out and meet people. Right? So I think a lot of students may be coming from the same school. Maybe you don't know even people from your school. You could start there, and then you'll start to meet other people throughout the conference as you see maybe the same people in different programs. Our programming tends to be very interactive, so you get to meet new people in that way as well. And then it's very simple to think about, well, how do we start to, meet new people? You introduce yourself. Right? A very simple one could just be something like, hi, my name's Najali. I went to Vanderbilt University and got my PhD in analytical chemistry, and now I'm a senior scientist. Great. That's given so many people different talking points, ways to ask about me, my journey, and then you can do the same thing as well for me to learn a little bit more about you, for instance. And all of this kind of helps you build out your network. So it's not everybody who you meet that's going to be guaranteed to give you a job, but there are plenty of people who could give you advice on maybe how to navigate graduate school or how to navigate the job applying process or things like that. Kind of on the back half of Mingle, when you're talking scientifically or when you're talking to people in general, think about what your audience is. Do you want this to be a professional connection? Do you think this might be someone who could mentor you in some kind of way? Gauge that before you start directly asking people, will you be my mentor? If this is the first time you're meeting somebody, it might be hard for them to determine if they're a good mentor for you. And likewise, it might be hard for you to determine if this is actually the right mentor for you. And so that's why conversation is important. You constantly engage with people in different ways and you're listening and you're learning. And then you kind of take all of that information and help disseminate it or use it to kind of guide what maybe some of your options are. So as you prepare for the conference, if this is your first time maybe coming to a NOBCChE conference or even a conference in general, we want to think about a couple different things. One of them being, what is it that you even wear? I remember at my first conference, I didn't know what I was supposed to wear. And I showed up in just some khakis and a regular shirt. But really what we're looking for here is what you would think is professional business attire. You want to look put together. It's not like you're just going out to hang out with some people. You want to make a good impression. But on the flip side, you want to be comfortable enough to be able to focus. Our programming and technical sessions run throughout the day at the conference. And while you can step away and take breaks as needed, it's kind of hard to do if your feet hurt because you thought that you needed to wear a specific kind of shoe, or if your clothes are a little bit too tight because you thought, oh, I have to wear a jacket, but the only one I have is maybe a couple years old. We don't want you guys to be uncomfortable in anything that you're doing, but just think about the first impressions that you're making. Number two, thinking about your professional behavior and demeanors. I think this is a little bit similar to what Brandy was talking about, right? This is a week-long event, and you might get to see people and make multiple impressions, but that first one really is lasting. And the last bullet point, be personable, can be a little bit hard. I understand for some people who might be more introverted or more shy. Nobody's asking you to walk into a room and say, hey, all eyes on me. right? But just being kind and being interested in people will actually take you a very, very, very long way. And lastly, thinking about some things that you might want to bring, you know. You might want to have copies of your resume on hand at the career fair, at the conference. Sometimes sponsors and exhibitors really do want to see someone's resume after talking to them for some time. Having something like that is going to be very important and could be really pivotal in helping you find maybe your next opportunity. Business cards likewise are really helpful. Some people really enjoy having a physical thing to hold on to remember somebody by. A LinkedIn page can do a very similar thing, but sometimes the physical nature of things helps create a lasting impressions in people's mind. Copies of your poster is not required at all, but it can be helpful if somebody's interested in your poster and they want to go back and look at it a little bit more. If you have just like a small paper size, just to share with somebody. And then above all, thinking about your elevator pitch. And you might want to have a couple prepared. You might want to have one talking about your personal journey and what science means to you that's maybe adaptable to a different conversation. And then one about your science itself. It's really important to understand to have some situational awareness about when to talk about yourself and when to talk about your science, especially in more professional conferences. We always love hearing about science, but sometimes if you're having a casual conversation and then you launch into a pitch essentially about your science when it's not necessarily required for your conversation can be a little awkward sometimes. So just some things to keep in mind. And if you've never traveled for a conference before, or you have some specific questions around travel, the conference runs from September 22nd through the 25th. If you're tier 1, and even if you're tier 2, we would like for you guys to try and make it to the conference for the whole week. I understand school, funding, things like that get in the way, but our recommended travel dates are the 21st, where you travel to Atlanta, check into the hotel, all of that, so that you're ready bright and early on the 22nd for programming to start. And then you check out on the 26th. And so check-in for the Hilton Atlanta is going to be at 4 p.m. and checkout will be at 11 a.m. So those times are very important for you guys to keep in mind. This may be a little bit redundant for some of you, but when you're checking into a hotel, you will need a form of identification. That could be your driver's license or a passport or a government ID. And then you'll also need a credit card for incidentals. If you're tier 1, yes, we are paying for your hotel room, but that card for incidentals is necessary in case there's any damage to the room and things like that. So, okay, we've traveled, we're in Atlanta, we have some hotel information, but now we need to get to the hotel. You guys can take an Uber, a Lyft, a taxi, a bus, anything, any way you want to get there. We, as NOBCChE, do not cover any of your travel expenses, but you can try and talk to some of your advisors or think about funding at your universities or for any fellowships that you may have that can reimburse you for actual travel to the conference. Okay. So now we're going to get into what I think a lot of you guys may have questions about, which are your requirements. And so requirements for ASCG are really things that we've put in place that we think will help you maximize your time at the conference the most. If you have any specific questions or you're looking for examples on some of what I'm talking about, you can use this QR code. And it's going to take you to the ASCG Tier 1, Tier 2 requirements document at NOBCChE's website. So we've broken up your requirements into kind of 4 different groups, thinking about student programs and professional development, networking, your tech sessions, and then for our committee, what it is you need to do that might be a little bit extra. So for student programs, and this is specifically if you guys are tier 1, you are required to attend the Thriving at NOBCChE Opportunities, Networking, and Growth session. So this is the first session on Monday morning that really gives you guys kind of an overview of what NOBCChE is, what you can do to make the most of NOBCChE on the ground at the conference. And then You will need to attend at least 2 student programming or professional development sessions per day. And so if you on Monday want to attend just 2 student programming sessions, that's fine. If there's no student programming that seems exciting to you and the professional development ones seem a little bit more your speed, you can go to 2 of those. Or you can do 1 student program or 1 professional development session in a day. That's also okay. Networking, I've talked about that quite a bit through this presentation, and it's something that we really want to encourage people to do at the NOBCChE conference. And so there are a couple different ways to do that. There are 2 luncheons held every year, the Winifred Burks Huck Luncheon and the Percy Julian Luncheon. This is where, 1, it's a luncheon, so you get to eat, and 2, you get to hear from different award winners, the Winifred Burks Huck awardee and the Percy Julian awardee for the year. Both awardees generally are very accomplished people, and they get to share some of their journey as well at these luncheons. And so it is really more than just sitting down, eating, and going on into something else. You get to hear really cool stories from people. In addition to some of the networking efforts, you are required to attend the Career Expo. And so this is the graduate school fair and the career fair. Seems a little self-explanatory. And then the last thing is to be attending at least 2 other networking sessions. And so you can find a list of the other networking session examples in the QR code link. But student programs generally on Sunday evenings have a student social. Technical sessions has this Master Science series that we have several sessions throughout the week for. And so this is where you get to hear from other older scientists about their journeys and their scientific contributions throughout their career. Which brings us ahead to the technical session requirements. And I want to highlight that for tech sessions, these 3 requirements are in addition to actually presenting your own. So if you attend 1 hour of oral presentations, you can count it as the session that you presented in. That's fine. But we really do want you to try and diversify and attend technical sessions and engage with everyone at a technical level. At the poster sessions, we want you to visit at least 5 posters. And so there's a graduate poster session and an undergraduate poster session. And we would like you to attend both and visit at least 5 per poster session. And then lastly, the Winifred Burks Huck awardee and the Percy Julian awardee have their own dedicated Master Science series seminars, and you're required to attend both of those as well. For ASCG, you guys are already making progress. You have attended the pre-conference webinar, which is great. And then you will also have volunteer assignments coming. So we're still working on assigning those. And so look out for emails in the next couple weeks, pretty much detailing those and who you can reach out to for additional questions for your volunteer assignments. Tier 2's requirements are in a similar vein, but we are cognizant of the fact that if you're not getting your hotel paid for, you may not be able to stay for the entire length of the conference. And so we've modified some of our requirements for Tier 2 awardees a little bit differently. But I do want to say that even though these are the requirements, we would like to try to have you engage more beyond this if you are able to stay for longer throughout the conference. So student programming, again, if you are there on that Monday, you're required to attend the Thriving at NOBCChE session. And then we've dropped it from 2 student programs or professional development sessions per day to just 1 per day. And so that is hopefully going to open up your schedule a little bit more if you have limited time to attend maybe more technical sessions or other networking types of opportunities. The other biggest changes are that you're required to only attend 1 of the luncheons. If you aren't going to be at the conference on either luncheon day, we want you to try and look at other networking opportunities that you can take advantage of. Similarly for tech sessions, if you aren't going to be at the conference for either the Winifred Burks Huck or the Percy Julian Master Science series, please attend another one. Your ASCG requirements are going to be the same though. Your volunteer assignments will be dependent on the days that you are at the conference. And then again, you've already attended the pre-conference webinar. So you guys are making great progress. Overall, all of this is really just to help you guys maximize your conference experience, right? So all of these hopefully will help you achieve each of the goals mentioned on this slide, right? Professional development has some financial oriented sessions, so then you can go attend those if you're really interested in your financial growth and things like that as well. Beyond strictly lab-based research, we have technical sessions kind of based around STEM education. There are sessions based around STEM outreach. And so there's really hopefully something here for everybody's interests. But we have all of these requirements. How are we actually going to keep track of what it is you're doing? This year, we're introducing an ASCG scheduler, which is pretty much in the form of a Google form. The QR code is down here for you to reach that, but the link is also listed on that ASCG Tier 1, Tier 2 requirements document. Essentially, what you're going to do is you're going to fill out your own information, but then on each day, it's going to ask you to choose the sessions you think you want to attend based on the title and based on the agenda at a glance. And so this is going to help you think about, well, what student programs, events are on Monday, for instance. Which one sounds interesting? You sign up for it, and then you're going to automatically be sent a calendar invitation. And so hopefully at the conference, you can reference your calendar and say, oh, right, this is the session I want to go to. This is the session I'm going to go to next, and kind of plan out your conference a little bit more before we get there on the ground and you kind of get overwhelmed with everything that might be going on. So that's all pre-conference. When you're at the conference, obviously attending the programs is necessary. But when you're attending your programs, you're going to have a name tag that has a QR code on it, and you're going to scan your badge before entering sessions. And when you're in the sessions, there is also going to be QR codes for you to scan as well. It's important for you to scan both sets so that we can keep track of if students actually attended the events or not. And I do want to say, making your schedule doesn't lock you into going to the sessions at all either. If you decide to attend a different one than what you originally signed up for, maybe you walked into it and you realized, the first year playbook is not really, I'm not there yet. I can't really take anything from it right now. Or there's another session that sounds a little bit more interesting, or you met someone who's going to be a panelist in another one for any type of reason at all. If you decide to go to a different one and you originally scheduled, it's fine. Just still scan your QR codes, and then our committee will still be able to kind of go back and keep track of if you're hitting your goals or hitting your requirements rather, or not. You guys are also all coming to present technical work as well, whether that's a presentation orally or a poster. So here's just kind of an overview of some best practices, maybe to help you come up with like the best talk you can come up with. If you're doing an oral presentation, know what is on your slides. Practicing with your research group or other scientific friends that you might have can help with that. Number your slides. Be prepared to answer your questions that people might have that's kind of related to knowing what's on your slides. Make sure you practice. Practice your pitch, practice your talk. Make sure that you're within the timeline, the time frame that's outlined by tech sessions, because you will get cut off if you start going into someone else's time, right? You might want to prepare some backup slides or some extra slides in case some questions come up that you can't fully address during your main talk. That's also okay. If you guys are doing posters, know what's on your poster, right? The same kind of deal. Have other people look at your posters to help ensure that you know what you're talking about and that your poster makes sense and that it looks nice for people. Above all, check for your typos, check for any maybe vague statements or erroneous statements that you might have, and make sure, that you are uploading your presentations. I can't speak too much to this right now, but technical sessions will be holding a pre-conference session as well. I think the date is to be decided, but it sounds like it's sometime in August. And so they're going to go over their conference expectations. They're going to try and tell you about how to create a winning poster or oral presentation. And above all, there are some additional dates kind of leading up to the conference that you will need to do. If you're doing a poster and you're interested in having your poster judged for an award, they're doing poster prejudging for the second year in a row, which will help you guys engage more with people at the conference without having to worry about, oh, is this a judge? Is that a judge? And making sure that everybody who wants to be judged does in fact get to be judged. The deadline to submit your poster for that is September 5th. And then if you have an oral presentation, you will have to upload your presentation to, I think, a Google Drive by September 21st. So please be on the lookout from tech sessions or other NOBCChE emails to learn more about when these sessions are and what more you have to do for each of these deadlines. With that, that's kind of all I have to tell you guys. I hope I was able to give you a decent enough overview of everything that's going on. And I will go ahead and open things up for questions right now. Again, kind of to save time, please just put all of your questions in the chat. And I'm going to try to go through them and answer them to the best of my ability. So the first one looks like, what is the difference between the resume session by ACS and the resume session by student programming? ACS is going to tell you how to craft a resume. So it's going to give you, kind of think about it in terms of if you don't, the one from ACS is going to tell you how to make your resume. So maybe you have a list of accomplishments and things that you've done. They're going to tell you how to generally make it better. And again, it's going to tell you a little bit more about what's the difference between a resume versus a CV. How do you leverage your CV or how do you leverage your LinkedIn? So it's a little bit broader. The student program's resume review session is actually, you have your resume, you submit it to be reviewed, and you get feedback based on your individual resume at that point. Hopefully that's more clear. Regarding the 3-minute rundown, can you choose from different research areas than the sponsor? Yeah, absolutely. Our sponsors are there to really support the session and enjoy all of the science that comes out of it. So feel free to do anything other than what our sponsors this year are going to be doing. For Tier 1 students, is it still possible to submit a roommate request if it wasn't done at the point of acceptance? Unfortunately, it's not. Sorry about that. I don't want to mispronounce your name, but for the individual who mentioned that their spouse is also a Tier 1 awardee, please email that to ascg@nobcche.org. Your abstract ID, okay, NOBCChE answered that. Great. Yes, your slide, there's going to be a recording at the end of the at the end of the session.
Angela, I think they were also asking about getting the slides from today. I mean, they'll be in the recording, obviously, but
they'll be in the recording. I don't think you should need the specific slide deck for anything, but if you do, email ASCG@NOBCChE and kind of explain what you need our individual slide decks for. if the recording's not enough, okay? Can a poster judge also submit their poster for judging? Can a poster judge also submit the poster for judging? I would email tech sessions to get clarity on that. And that email is techsessions@NOBCChE.org. Similarly, to understand what technical session you're presenting in, I would email tech sessions. The conference scheduler, specifically that ASCG is using, is a Google Calendar invitation, but it should work across Outlook calendars or other calendars you may have. If you're asking about another calendar, could you just clarify that in the chat? For the innovation tank and 3-minute rundown, there are formats for that. Those should be included in the links that student programs provided. And if it's not, reach out to student programs at NOBCCchE.org to ask about that more specifically. And the Zoom recording will be uploaded on the ASCG page. If you missed the sign up form for the innovation tank, I can actually just pull it up again really quick if you want it, or it'll be posted in the recording. Or I think I can pull it up really quick and drop it in the chat. Actually, hold on. Yes. So for sign up for the innovation tank and the 3-minute rundown, it's the form that I just put in. And then for the ACS resume and CV and LinkedIn event, it's going to be this chat, this link as well. To apply for prejudging, I believe that if you want your poster to be prejudged, my understanding is that you're going to upload it. But I would email tech sessions. And if you want to be a judge, I would also email tech sessions. And so let me put those emails in the chat. Are there any other pressing questions people have right now? Oh, it looks like we have a tech sessions representative right now online.
Hello, my name is Shana Semister. I work with Tech Sessions. For the questions regarding for prejudging, you guys will receive a few notices coming out in the next few weeks. One is to come to attend our session, but for everyone who is doing a poster, you'll receive an email with all the poster sizes, all the requirements for your poster, and in that email, you'll receive a link to where to upload your poster if you want it to be judged. So if you want your poster to be considered for award, you'll need to upload it as a PDF format, and then we'll have it judged in advance, well, partially judged in advance for all the things that we can see visually. And then go into secondary judging on the day where we hear your presentation to us. So that's really what's going to happen. Since we have so many posters, we want to make sure everybody gets a chance to show off their work, because we know you're putting a lot of time and energy into this. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Shanez. Okay. If there are no other questions, I will stay on for the last 10 minutes of this, but you guys are free to go. Thank you so much for coming.
All right. If anyone's still on the call, email tech sessions. I posted the email in the chat if you would like more information regarding judging. So yes, do email us. I posted the email in the chat.
Shanez, I don't know if you just saw the last comment. If Elvis is still on the call and you wanted to address his question about abstract reviewing. No. Hold on. Try again, Shanez.
Hello. Yes, Elvis, we are sending out thank yous. We actually are still doing some reviews right now with the REUs, and we usually send out thank yous at the end. And last year, we sent out thank you certificates to everyone. So if you did not receive your certificate last year or your thank you, we can look into that. But we send out thank you certificates, and we usually send out all our thank yous at once after the process is done. And we were reviewing some additional abstracts up to yesterday. Elvis, you can email me directly at techsessions@NOBCChE.org, but we did send out reviewer thank yous and judges thank yous last year. I'll be happy to send your certificate for last year, and the one for this year is currently being worked on. I hope that helps with the answers. Yes, I see that you never got a certificate. Email text, let me add techsessions@NOBCCchE.org. If you send us an email there, we can get that rectified. But yeah, we did send out thank yous after the session, and we were planning to send out the next sets as early as before the end of the month. This is what we were discussing as soon as the entire review process was over.
Hi, Jaziel. Sorry if I mispronounced that. Yes, everybody will be sharing rooms. The roommate who's responsible for incidentals, if I recall, is usually the first one who checks in for the day. They just need somebody's card for the first person who's going in the room. And there's not an option to opt out, generally speaking. If you have a specific case why you can't or why you won't, email ASCG at NOBCChE to explain the situation. But in general, everybody will be sharing a room. Ah, I'm glad to hear. My name gets mispronounced a lot too, so I always try. But thank you for coming. Again, you guys are free to hop off whenever if you don't have any additional questions. But if you do, please feel free to put them in the chat. Yes, all ASCG awardees, regardless of their tier, receive volunteer assignments. Be on the lookout in the next couple weeks. We're still working through them, as we still have some students to incorporate from the REU group. Thank you, Shanez. Okay, guys, have a good rest of your weekend. And I'm looking forward to meeting some of you at the conference. Bye-bye.